Hello, my dear friends. Let me ask you something. What's the most valuable thing you have right now? It's not money. It's not possessions. It's time. After 70, every moment becomes more precious than ever. Yet too often, we waste our time, energy, and peace of mind on things that really don't matter anymore. And trust me, I've been there. That's why today, I'm sharing 12 things you should stop wasting time on right now. These are things that drain your happiness, steal your energy, and add unnecessary stress to your life. And the last one on this list? It changed the way I approach life forever. So grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, and let's talk about the things we need to let go of so we can finally start living fully. But before we begin, if you're ready to embrace more joy and freedom in your life, hit that like button. And if you haven't yet, subscribe for more wisdom on living your best life at any age. Now, let's get started with thing number 1, the one habit that keeps far too many people stuck in fear and doubt. Thing number 1, worrying about what others think. How many years have you spent worrying about what other people think of you? Do they approve of how I dress? What will they say if I try something new? Am I too much or not enough? Let me tell you something I wish I had learned sooner. People are too busy thinking about themselves to think about you as much as you imagine. Sure, they might have opinions. They might even gossip for a moment. But the truth? They'll forget about it by next week. And yet, we let the fear of judgment control our choices, our happiness, our freedom. I used to hesitate before wearing bright colors because I worried it wasn't age-appropriate. Then one day, I asked myself, whose life am I living? Theirs or mine? So I put on that bold red lipstick. I wore the colorful scarf that made me happy. And you know what happened? Nothing. The world didn't end. People didn't stare. And most importantly, I felt free. The older you get, the more you realize the only opinion that truly matters is your own. So ask yourself, does this make me happy? Am I comfortable in my own skin? If the answer is yes, that's all you need. So today, I invite you, let go of worrying about what others think. It's like carrying a heavy suitcase filled with nothing but air. Drop it. You'll feel so much lighter and freer when you start living for yourself. Now, let's talk about thing number 2, why keeping up with every little chore is draining your energy and stealing your time. Thing number 2, obsessing over household chores. Let me paint you a picture. You wake up in the morning, ready to enjoy a slow, peaceful start to your day. But instead of sipping your coffee while watching the sunrise, your mind jumps straight to your to-do list. The laundry is piling up. The kitchen floor needs scrubbing. There's dust on the shelves. And don't forget the bathrooms. It's endless, isn't it? For years, I believed my home had to be spotless all the time. Every little thing had to be in place, every surface shining. But do you know what that got me? Tired hands, a sore back, and too many hours spent chasing an impossible standard. Here's the truth. Nobody remembers how clean your floors are. What they remember is the time you spent with them. The conversations, the laughter, the moments that truly matter. I used to spend an entire afternoon cleaning the house before company came over. Now, I wipe the table, fluff the pillows, and call it a day. Because my friends and family come to see me, not my furniture. And if you live alone, even better. You get to decide what's clean enough. So instead of striving for a perfect home, focus on creating a lived-in home, a place that feels warm, comfortable, and welcoming. If chores feel overwhelming, try this. Prioritize what truly needs to be done. Not everything is urgent. Ask for help. If you have family nearby, let them pitch in. Tackle the essentials and let go of the rest. Because in the end, when you look back on your life, will you remember the perfectly folded laundry? Or will you remember the afternoon you spent chatting with a friend, reading a good book, or taking a peaceful walk in the sunshine? Life is too short, especially after 70, to spend it chasing dust bunnies. Now, let's move on to thing number 3. Why holding on to grudges is only weighing you down. Thing number 3. Why holding on to grudges is only weighing you down. Let me ask you something. How long have you been carrying that grudge? A friend who let you down? A family member who said something hurtful? A disagreement that was never resolved? I know what that feels like. I used to hold on to past hurts, replaying them in my mind over and over. I thought, how could they do that to me? Or, I'll never forgive them. But here's what I finally realized. Holding on to anger doesn't punish them. It punishes you. While you're still carrying the weight of resentment, they've likely moved on. They're living their life while you're stuck reliving the pain. Grudges are like heavy chains. They keep you tied to the past and prevent you from moving forward freely. One day, I asked myself, will this still matter 5 years from now? Almost every time, the answer was no. Forgiveness isn't about excusing bad behavior or pretending it didn't hurt. It's about freeing yourself from the burden of holding on to it. So today, I challenge you. Let go of that grudge. Not for them, but for you. Because peace feels a lot lighter than resentment ever will. Now, let's move on to thing number 4. Why trying to please everyone is draining your happiness. Thing number 4. Trying to please everyone. Be honest. How many times have you said yes when you really wanted to say no? You agreed to a favor even when you were exhausted. You went along with plans that didn't interest you. You put someone else's happiness above your own. Again. For years, I believed that being a good person meant always putting others first. I thought saying no was selfish. I thought disappointing someone was the worst thing I could do. But here's what I've learned. Trying to please everyone will drain you dry. And do you know what else? No matter how much you do, there will always be someone who wants more. One day, I finally asked myself, if I keep saying yes to things I don't want, what am I saying no to? I was saying no to my own rest and well-being. I was saying no to my own hobbies and interests. I was saying no to a life that actually felt good to me. And here's the funny thing. When I started setting boundaries, the people who truly cared about me understood, and the ones who didn't? Well, that told me everything I needed to know. At this stage of life, your time and energy are precious. You've spent decades taking care of others. Now it's time to take care of yourself. So here's my challenge for you. The next time you feel pressured to say yes, pause for a moment and ask yourself, do I truly want to do this? Will this bring me joy or just stress? And if the answer is no, give yourself permission to say it. Because making yourself miserable just to keep others happy isn't kindness, it's self-sacrifice. Now, let's move on to thing number 5. Why buying things you don't need is adding more stress than joy to your life. Thing number 5. Buying things you don't need. Let me ask you something. How much of what you own do you actually use? For years, I convinced myself that having more would make life better. More clothes, more kitchen gadgets, more decorations for the house. If I saw something new, I thought, maybe I'll need that one day. But do you know what happened? One day, I looked around and realized all this stuff wasn't making me happier. It was making me feel overwhelmed. Closets stuffed with clothes I never wore. Drawers filled with things I forgot I even had. Shelves covered in trinkets that only collected dust. And the worst part? The more things I had, the harder it became to enjoy the things that actually mattered. Because here's the truth. Happiness doesn't come from things. It comes from experiences, from relationships, from the simple joys of life. So instead of buying more, I started asking myself, do I truly need this? Or is it just a momentary want? Will this add to my life or just take up more space? And do you know what I found? Letting go of excess didn't feel like losing something. It felt like gaining freedom. Now, instead of spending money on things that sit on a shelf, I spend it on a lunch with a good friend, a short trip to see a new place, a hobby that brings me joy. Because when I look back on my life, I won't remember the extra dishes I bought. I'll remember the conversations, the adventures, the moments that made me feel alive. So here's my challenge for you. Look around your home. What's adding to your joy and what's just taking up space? Because the less time you spend managing stuff, the more time you have to truly enjoy life. Now, let's move on to thing number 6. Why overthinking the past is stealing your happiness today. Thing number 6. Why overthinking the past is stealing your happiness today. Do you ever catch yourself replaying old memories, thinking, what if? What if I had made a different choice? What if I had spoken up that day? What if I had taken that opportunity instead? I used to do this all the time, going over past decisions, regretting things I couldn't change, and wondering how life might have turned out differently. But here's the truth. No amount of overthinking will ever change the past. The past is like a closed book. You can reread the pages, but you can't rewrite them. And do you know what happens when you spend too much time looking back? You miss out on the life happening right in front of you. Instead of dwelling on regrets, ask yourself, what did I learn from that experience? How can I use that lesson to make better choices today? Because here's what I've realized. Your past does not define you. What you choose to do with the present does. So today, I challenge you. Whenever you find yourself stuck in the past, gently remind yourself that life is happening now. Now, let's move on to thing number 7. Why staying quiet about your needs is holding you back from the happiness you deserve. Thing number 7. Staying quiet about your needs. For much of my life, I stayed quiet about what I really wanted or needed. Maybe it was out of politeness. Maybe out of fear of being seen as selfish or difficult. Maybe I thought, it's not a big deal. I'll just deal with it. But do you know what happens when you keep ignoring your own needs? You end up frustrated, lonely, and sometimes even resentful. At some point, I realized if I don't speak up for myself, no one else will. If I needed help around the house, I had to ask. If I wanted more time with my loved ones, I had to say so. If something was bothering me, I had to express it instead of expecting others to guess. I used to think that voicing my needs would drive people away. But in reality, I found the opposite to be true. People appreciate honesty, especially when it's spoken with kindness and clarity. And let me tell you, nothing is as empowering as realizing that your feelings, your comfort, and your happiness are worth the effort. So here's my challenge for you. If there's something you need, say it. If you want something to change, speak up. Because your voice matters, your needs matter, and it's never too late to start honoring them. Now, let's move on to thing number 8. Why comparing yourself to others is stealing your joy. Thing number 8. Comparing yourself to others. Have you ever looked at someone else's life and thought, why don't I have that? A friend with the perfect family. A neighbor who travels the world. Someone your age who looks younger, moves faster, or seems to have more energy. It's so easy to compare, isn't it? But here's what I've learned. Comparison is a thief. It steals your joy, your confidence, and your ability to appreciate the life you already have. And do you know the truth? What you see on the surface is never the full picture. That friend with the perfect family? She might be struggling in ways you don't see. That neighbor who's always traveling? Maybe they're searching for something they haven't yet found. That person who looks younger? They might be battling insecurities you know nothing about. We all have our own challenges, our own journeys, and no two lives are meant to look the same. So instead of comparing yourself to someone else, ask yourself, what am I grateful for in my own life? What are the things that bring me joy? How can I make the most of the life I have right here and now? Because the only person you should compare yourself to is the person you were yesterday. So today, I challenge you. Shift your focus from what others have to what you've already been blessed with. Now, let's move on to thing number 9. Why worrying about what others think is holding you back from living freely. Thing number 9. Worrying about what others think. How many years have you spent worrying about what people think of you? Do they like the way I look? What if they judge my choices? Am I doing things the right way? It's exhausting, isn't it? And here's the truth. Most people are too busy thinking about themselves to think about you as much as you imagine. Sure, they might have opinions. They might even make a passing comment. But ask yourself this: will their opinion matter in 5 years? Probably not. I used to hold back from doing things I wanted, wearing bold colors, trying new hobbies, speaking my mind, just because I worried about what others might say. But one day, I realized something. No matter what you do, someone will always have something to say. So why not do what makes you happy instead? If you love a certain outfit, wear it. If you want to take up painting, dancing, or playing an instrument, do it. If you feel like speaking your truth, say it. Because at the end of the day, the only opinion that truly matters is your own. So today, I challenge you. Let go of the fear of judgment and start living for you. Now, let's move on to thing number 10. Why saying yes when you really mean no is draining your energy and happiness. Thing number 10. Saying yes when you really mean no. How many times have you said yes when every part of you wanted to say no? Agreeing to plans you didn't want to join, taking on responsibilities that weren't yours, doing favors out of guilt, not because you truly wanted to. For years, I thought saying yes made me kind, helpful, and reliable. But do you know what it actually did? It made me exhausted, it made me resentful, and worst of all, it made me ignore my own needs. Because every time I said yes to something I didn't want to do, I was saying no to something I actually needed: rest, peace, time for myself. And here's the truth. You do not have to explain or apologize for protecting your time and energy. At this stage of life, every moment is precious. You don't owe anyone endless favors. You don't have to sacrifice your own well-being just to avoid disappointing others. So the next time someone asks something of you, pause for a moment and ask yourself, do I truly want to do this? Will this bring me joy or just stress? If I say yes to this, what am I saying no to? If it doesn't feel right, give yourself permission to say no, thank you. Because when you start saying no to things that drain you, you create space for the things that truly bring you joy. Now, let's move on to thing number 11. Why trying to fix everyone else's problems is only weighing you down. Thing number 11. Trying to fix everyone else's problems. For most of my life, I believed it was my responsibility to fix everything for everyone. If my children were struggling, I wanted to step in and make things easier. If a friend was having a hard time, I felt like it was my duty to offer advice. If someone I cared about was unhappy, I thought, how can I fix this? I thought I was helping. I thought I was being a good mother, a good friend, a good person. But do you know what I finally realized? It's not my job to save everyone. And the truth? People need to find their own way. Think about the hardest lessons you've learned in life, the moments that shaped you, made you stronger, taught you resilience. Would you be the person you are today if someone had stepped in and fixed everything for you? Probably not. So why do we try to take that experience away from others? I know it's hard to watch someone struggle, but sometimes the most loving thing you can do is step back. Instead of trying to carry their burdens, try this. Be a source of encouragement, not control. Offer support, but let them make their own choices. Listen without trying to solve. Sometimes people just need to talk. Protect your own peace. You can't pour from an empty cup. Because here's what I've learned. When you stop taking responsibility for problems that aren't yours, you finally free yourself to focus on what truly matters in your own life. Now, let's talk about thing number 12. Why neglecting your own happiness is the biggest mistake of all. Thing number 12. Neglecting your own happiness. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly did something just for yourself? Not for your children, not for your spouse, not for your friends, but for you. If you had to think about it for too long, that's a sign. For so many years, we've been told that taking care of others comes first, that we should be good mothers, good wives, good friends. And somewhere along the way, we forgot to take care of ourselves. We've put our happiness on hold. We've pushed our own dreams aside. We've told ourselves, one day, I'll have time for me. But do you know what happens? Life keeps moving. One day turns into 1 year. And suddenly, we realize we spent so much time making sure everyone else was happy, we forgot about our own joy. But here's the truth. Happiness isn't something that just happens. It's something you create. It's something you choose every single day. And after 70, that choice becomes more important than ever. So, let me ask you again, what makes you happy? Is it gardening, painting, or learning something new? Is it spending time in nature, taking a small trip, or simply sitting outside with a good book? Is it reconnecting with an old passion you set aside years ago? Whatever it is, it's time to start making space for it. Because here's something I want you to hear. Your happiness matters just as much as anyone else's. No, it's not selfish to put yourself first sometimes. No, it's not too late to try something new. And no, you don't have to wait for permission to live fully. You've spent years giving to the world. Now, it's time to give something back to yourself. So today, I challenge you. Do one thing just for you. Something that makes you smile. Something that makes you feel alive. Not tomorrow, not next week. Today. Because life is happening now. And after everything you've done, you deserve to enjoy it. Now let's wrap this up with a powerful final message. And there you have it. 12 things that are stealing your time, energy, and happiness after 70. But now, I have a question for you. Which one of these spoke to you the most? Are you ready to stop worrying about what others think? To let go of old grudges? To finally start putting your own happiness first? Drop a comment below and let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like this video so more people can discover these insights. Subscribe for more wisdom on living your best life at any age. Share this with a friend who might need to hear this today. And if you haven't already, sign up for my Savvy Senior newsletter. It's completely free, and I send out exclusive tips and stories that you won't find anywhere else. The link is in the description. Thank you for spending this time with me. Remember, your time is precious, so spend it on what truly matters. I'll see you in the next video.